What you're about to hear is part of the Podgods Network. If you have a problem with anything you hear, please write it in an email and go fuck yourself. Enjoy the show.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Salty Language presents The Enthusiast.
Hey there, enthusiasts. This is Salty Language bringing you the Enthusiast.
Right?
I'm Tony, that's Bryan, and today we got Greg Wright.
Yay!
AKA Dr. Greg Wright. Official.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bring the sexy back and just have my radio DJ voice and say it's you, me, and the night, baby.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
We like that. Yeah. So did you used to say Dr. Wright, you, me, and the night or whatever? Was that like your hook?
No, that's what I should be. Actually, I should be like Dr. Wright, spinning the platters that matter up until dawn. Here it is, cats and kitties, all the hot sounds and cool tunes. I don't know, something like that.
Let me just say, you sound really hip and with it.
Double snap.
Yeah.
Especially the cats and kittens.
Yeah, right.
I think it's making a comeback, though. I've seen those hipster kids.
I never stopped saying it. I when I was a little kid, I heard Wolfman Jack do it, and I was like, I like this, so I started calling people cats, and I've just kind of never stopped. I just throw it in every once in a while. Yeah, I like the old-timey language. What can I say?
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, you're part of the Michigan Comics Collective, which is a group of ne'er-do-wellers writing funny books and such.
Corrupting the minds of the youths.
Yes. Well, I think that's your other job, isn't it?
That's both my jobs.
Oh, wow, perfect.
Smart. Now, see,
synergy.
You're doing the real supervillainry of the world. You know, it's you're corrupting minds under the guise of education and hitting them in their leisure time. That's smart. I like that.
It's a two-pronged attack against civilization, really.
Right.
So.
Well, pincher attack. Why not, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's bring some history into this, too.
Get over here.
Nice. Are you a video gamer? Or do you used to be?
I'm not as much as I used to be. I don't allow a video game system in my house because then it takes up too much time and money, and what I wind up doing instead is taking that, not necessarily the money, but the time and spending it on creative stuff like this project, writing and promoting stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Trying to get my head together and stay on track with stuff. If I had a video game system, I would totally play it all the time.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I like to consider myself a video gamer, but I probably haven't played anything in months, 4 or 5 months. So it's just a really cool Netflix apparatus.
Right. I really like to go over to somebody else's house and play video games because I love video games, but it's like I know that if I have it here, it would be like, okay, breakfast video game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, is it bedtime video game?
Yep.
Right.
You know, I bet I could get these video games in the bathroom with me, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's where you put it, you know. You just get a system and just keep it in the can, you know. And
exactly. That's what I'm talking about with bowl games.
Yeah.
I honestly miss going to the old school arcades. Because
then
you're only there as long as your wallet's good, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you can sit there and watch other people and be like, oh, yeah, that's cool.
That's true.
Wish I had some more quarters.
Yeah.
Check the little coin returns that the games people aren't playing.
Yeah.
Hoping.
Yeah.
The good old
you're
days.
not paying out on me here.
Yeah. Oh, man. Those were the days.
Well, well, when you were a gamer, what was your game of choice? I'm just curious.
Well, I always like playing, you know, like the Mortal Kombats and the Street Fighters and stuff like that, where it was like, get a bunch of people together at a party and just like have people beat the hell out of each other, that kind of thing.
Right, and then play some
and then
video
sometimes
games.
play video games.
Yeah, right. You and I were on the same page on that. Nice. Just picturing the party and everyone's like, hey, we got video games. And over in the corner, there's just two people just beating the hell out of each other. Like, this is more entertaining. Yeah.
Sort of an octagon made out of kitchen chairs.
Yeah, pretty much. That could be rough. I mean, you catch a kitchen chair wrong,
Well, that's true. It's not as forgiving as the fence.
Don't get fun of my mom's chair, guys.
No fighting on the carpet. That stains.
Yeah.
Keep it to the tile.
Take the doilies off the table before you go through it.
Those are grandma's.
Yeah. Have some respect, you animals.
I can tell you guys have totally fought at my grandma's house before.
Well, with a family member or someone else?
I assume you're probably beating up my grandma when I'm not looking.
Yeah.
Well, they taught him how to fight in the old days,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
She had a right hook.
Yeah.
Could take a punch, all
right.
that.
Yeah.
Check out my super spin cane move.
Right? She just hooks you around the neck with the cane and pulls you in for the, wicked elbows she has, Yeah. It's kind of like Scorpion, It's get over here, but with her cane,
with a cane. Yeah.
Oh, Grandma Flory, I'm so sorry.
Oh man. So have you been are you a lifer as far as comic books go? Have you loved them since childhood or?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When I was really young, actually, what I would read is a lot of comic strips. I was really into Calvin and Hobbes, and I was really into Bloom County, as a kid. And it was
me
they
too.
had all these political cartoons.
Yep.
And I'm I still was oh, I like the Penguin. I was just kind of obsessed with with that.
Right.
But always about comics, and I'm always trying to just catch up, because you never catch up, right?
For sure.
I'm really into Golden Age, or I'm really into Silver Age, or I you can't even keep up with what's coming out right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Story of my life right now.
Their hand on everything, know?
Yeah.
So,
that was the toughest part. Tony and I had a comic shop for a couple years, and that was that was one of the hardest things, was staying on top of as much as you possibly could, because so much stuff comes out. And now I look at what comes out, and I'm like, man, this puts what came out when it seems like way more than when we had a shop, because Image wasn't putting out a lot of books at that time. Now Image is pumping out books pretty, crazily, as well as these other companies, and there's a lot of small press coming. I mean, there's always been small press, but it's a lot of it's actually making it to comic shops, which is awesome. So
yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even just if you were to try to, catch up with the Image catalog, that would be kind of like a full-time job,
Yeah.
You can't keep your hands in everything, because
Yeah.
there's just so much everywhere, which is great, because then things all get to find their audience in their own way, right?
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've liked as time's gone on, is that it's not all capes and stuff anymore. There's a comic probably for anybody out there now.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah,
to diversify.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and there's
also kind of to explain to people that it's not all. It doesn't. I mean, hey, I don't have anything against Superman or the Fantastic Four or anything like that, but that there's something out there for people who want to do other stuff as well. That it's not just so limiting. The conversation has to always be about one thing. If you think about the 80s, it's oh boy, here's all the superhero stuff and Mouse, and that's it.
Right. Yeah,
right.
You're right. Yeah. And I think that's why I fell in love with Mouse so much the first time I read it. It's not a funny book of any kind, but it reminded me of, like you were saying about growing up loving, even though Calvin and Hobbes was a hilarious strip, there's a lot of really serious topics discussed, philosophical stuff in that strip. And Bloom County's got a lot of politics and other, again, more philosophy kind of based stuff. So it was when Mouse came out, I was finally, I feel like there's something in this medium that feels a little more grown up, and it feels a little more in that vein. And now there's all sorts of books that deal with political concepts and philosophy and all that stuff. And I dig how it's so okay for that now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's way more acceptable for people to wander into the comic shop now too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's always acceptable.
I always get the feeling, and sometimes I still get that feeling, where you walk into a comic shop, and I'm sure that this wasn't you guys, but the guy behind the counter is just like judging the hell out of you.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
just like,
yeah.
Oh, you're gonna buy that?
I'm sure they're that way. I'm sure they're that way at. Where is it? Snake Oil Comics? No, I'm kidding.
Toys Comics?
Toys,
no,
yeah.
Steve can be like that. I give him a hard time. Where he's like, "You're going to buy that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're selling it to me, jackass."
I'll be honest. I certainly was that way, but it was generally most of the time I was more curious than anything. There was only a few times, like if anyone brought up anything that had the words Rob Liefeld on them, then I would give them a lot of crap. Otherwise, I was like, "Hey, I get it. We all like different stuff. It's cool." You like My Little Pony? I mean, it's not for me, but whatever. We're all happy.
We just saw, dollar bills inside that poly bag.
Yep. Exactly.
Dollar bills.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stored in the Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper.
Yeah. That's my... No. Yeah. With all the comic characters you love, like your name with their last name and circled, or, with a heart around it, and,
Right next to the Van Halen logo.
Obviously. Well, mine had a Metallica logo, but, whatever. To each.
Whatever. But I was going to say Metallica. Yeah. Everybody put that on there.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your book. I finished reading it right before we jumped on here, actually. So.
Hey, me too. So. No, I'm kidding. I read it before that. Yeah, so it's called Wild Bullets, and it's put out by the Michigan Comics Collective, and the basic pitch for it is that it's about the Bullet family. They're the siblings, and they're all adults, and each of them grew up to be a pulp adventurer. So one's a detective, one's a mad scientist, one's an archaeologist, and one's a monster hunter. They don't normally get along, but then they all meet up at their parents' house for Thanksgiving, sort of a like dysfunctional family reunion kind of thing. And as happens at Thanksgivings, there's a murder, and so they need to solve the murder, find a way to work together, and since they all have these different interests, their genres all mix together and mash up, their personalities clash, and they have to figure out who's out to kill them, basically. And as each character takes over telling the story, a different artist takes over and does it in a different style for that genre. So like sci-fi, crime, horror, adventure, all that kind of thing, all coming together at the end.
Right, which I totally dug that, because I like how a lot of books have done that often. It's rare in regular books, because usually, one artist does the whole book, but every once in a while I like that they'll mix it up, like they'll do a flashback sequence and they'll have a different artist do that art, so it's a totally different feel. And when I read the synopsis of your book before I was reading it, or while I was downloading it, and I saw that, and I was like, that's a cool idea, because not only does it spotlight different artists, which is good for the collective, which makes it sound like we're talking about the Borg or something, but
the cult, right?
Yeah,
they all wear robes.
Yeah, but it's cool, it gets different people a little spotlight throughout the book, and plus I'm sure you could probably tell the story a little differently based on strengths of the artist too, So
yeah. So like the Sean Seals section, he does Steve Bullet, and that has sort of like this gritty noir, black and white vibe to it. And then, you go from that to Jason Jimenez doing an action section that's sort of like this comic book version of Indiana Jones.
Right.
Then from that section, you go into Steve Schar's section, which is like this sort of Flash Gordon retrofitted sci-fi kind of thing with laser guns and jetpacks and stuff. And then Joe Frere wraps it all up with the horror section, where he's kind of doing sort of a riff on like an anime vibe. And I just you like you're saying, you can sort of pull on everybody's strengths and give them something that stretches their skills, but also plays to their strengths as well.
Right.
And then, I want to just also give another shout out to Sarah Souls, who did the letters and the coloring for the whole book. So she kind of, even with these disparate styles, sort of tied it all together through the color palette that weaves throughout.
Right. which is cool, and I'm sure that's not easy to do with different artists, like in the same book, to kind of make a palette and style work across different techniques. I guess I can't think of the word I'm looking for here. Different artist styles, So yeah.
Well, and Sarah is such a good sport because I sent her all these emails where I'm like, it's got to be like this, it's got to be like that, and she's like, just calm down. Yeah, I've got this.
Easy.
Easy killer. I kind of tend to get a little excited about stuff. I'm really excited about this book, so
right.
And we've gotten such great feedback from people. We've gotten great reviews, and at the Motor City Comic Con where it premiered last weekend, everybody had just glowing things to say about it. People, like so many conversations started with people. It was really, really exciting to have that happen.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I dug it. Like I said, I finished reading it and I was kind of like, wow, there's a lot going on in this book. I didn't realize it was a kind of a one shot, But so I'm like, as it was going on, I'm like, is this going to wrap up? Because I'm like, I was half expecting the cliffhanger somewhere, but then with as much and introducing each of the characters, I was like, well, that'd be weird to kind of cliffhanger it. Like here's 3 or 4 of them, but yeah, we're going to save the other 2 till next issue or something.
Meanwhile,
yeah,
right.
Yes.
Or you could use the European model, like what was that Red One or whatever comic, where they're not putting another book out for like a year. So did the Michigan Comics Collective just like do they just like publish this, or did you do this yourself, or Kickstarter, or like did you have
that's
like
a good question.
Did you have physical copies at the con?
Oh yeah, we had physical copies there. Yeah, and I'm bugging coworkers and friends and family and neighbors and everybody. I'm like, buy a copy of this book. I'll autograph it.
Right.
And so yeah, we were selling physical copies, but there's also digital copies that people can pick up at Drive-Thru Comics. Yep. Or they can link to it through the website, which is wildbullets.blogspot.com. The Michigan Comics Collective, which is michigancomicscollective.org, also has a link to where you can buy it. And they're working on getting it set up so that you, through the website, can buy a physical copy that they'll ship to you.
Oh, okay, cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, actually, because like, I generally read all my stuff digitally now, which kills me in one part and I love on the other, because I'm past the point where I want comics as a collection, like a speculative collector's item. I don't want 50 boxes of books laying around, if I can help it. I'd rather just get trades of ones I really love and such. So I read most of them digitally, and so I went through. What'd you say? It was Drive-Thru Comics, I believe you said, or Drive-Thru.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got it through there, and it was super easy. Everything, And yeah,
was it like going through the drive-through?
That's how it was. It was really fast, and it starts downloading as soon as it's paid for. So
perfect.
Yeah, just what you hope for.
No, it is. It's really easy and it's really cool. And since it came out in Drive-Thru Comics, almost every day it's been at the #1 of their hottest titles.
Oh, nice.
And it's never fallen below the top 3. So it's top 1, top 2, top 3, like the whole time.
Very nice.
So
right, cool.
We're responding to it and checking it out, and that's really very cool because we're competing with stuff like Judge Dredd Comics and a lot of other major publishers put their stuff on there, and we're holding our own, and that's a good feeling.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. Yeah.
Oh, but you were asking about the publication process.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I derailed my own conversation.
You asked, and I decided I'm just going to ignore that question. And,
that's fine, too.
And basically, it just involves, this big bag with a $sign on it that I hand over to Travis McIntyre. No, I'm kidding. The Michigan Comics Collective decided to use their funds that they have built up through the sales of the first anthology and the Kickstarter that they used to run that, and say, we want to publish a one-shot, a standalone comic book. And so I was very honored and very flattered that this could be the premier, comic book that they're putting out that's a self-contained story. And we didn't wind up going the Kickstarter route, and so what we're doing now is the sales are paying back the costs that we incurred in making it and printing it and all that sort of a thing. Sure. So there's I like going that route. I mean, we went with the Kickstarter for the first anthology, which I was also a part of, but not nearly as integral as this project. And I don't have anything against Kickstarter, but I like doing it this other model too, where I don't know. I feel like then I can ask people for money and sort of hand it right to them, as opposed to, hey, this is coming down the line. Which, I mean, I've done that with Kickstarter, but I think people get nervous about that. Like,
yeah,
oh,
sure,
you really got a thing?
Yeah, can understand that. You know, I've heard various people like never getting stuff from Kickstarter or
or stuff super late or
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, part of that is in the process too. You know, our pal Eric Palicki writes books also, and he on his Twitter has mentioned a couple times about how he thinks it's silly on Kickstarter that you basically, like, some people send out these emails or these things to get everyone's addresses like months before they actually ship out the items. So sometimes people move or things change or whatever, and then they never end up getting their stuff because, you know, you don't wait until you're at the actual shipping point to get, you know, addresses from people. So I don't know if that's Kickstarter or if that's the individual, you know, the people raising money. I don't know who's doing that, but that's a problem.
I agree. I think it's usually the people running the campaign themselves, because for most people, their Kickstarter is sort of their first time dealing with all of these possible, you know, shipping issues.
Yeah.
You know, just the packaging. I mean, it's kind of like, you've got the money. What's your incentive to want to get out all of the stuff?
Yeah, right.
It's hard. You know,
yeah.
I can just smoke the finest cigars.
Yeah.
Putting these products out.
If you're going to do that, though, you just start a Kickstarter for, hey, I want to smoke the finest cigars. There's a chance you might get funded, you know? I mean,
this is very true. There's been weirder.
I mean, the guy with the potato salad, you know?
The potato salad.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, listen, I'm not going to try to BS you. I'm not going to, you know, come up with some other thing. I just want to smoke fine cigars.
Yeah, I just need to stock my humidor.
Right.
I'm just a guy who likes potato salad.
Yeah, it's like...
That was a hilarious little nonsensical internet event.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Is there a chain of potato salad stores now with his name on it? I know he made a ton of money with that thing.
Yeah, it should be.
Right?
It's ridiculous.
Or if not, he should at least be going on tour, you know? The potato salad tour.
Yeah,
T-shirts
bring Spuds McKenzie with him, that kind of thing.
Right.
Nice. Perfect.
Poor Spuds.
Beer and potato salad. Together at last.
Yeah.
A marriage made in heaven.
And coming to a town near you. Woo! Yeah. So, let's see. What else do I have here?
Well, how long have you been writing comics for? Or is this your first?
No.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, because this isn't your first comic you've wrote, is it? Wild Bullets?
No, it's not the first comic that I've done. It's I have a couple other comic book projects, but the nature of the beast is that they all work at different times and at different rates and things like that. So I'm actually, like, the first thing that I wrote, I'm still trying to find a home for, because it was like a 6-issue thing, and 6 issues is just a big commitment for anybody to do, which I didn't know when I wrote it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I've since done some shorts. Like, I did a short that was in the first Michigan Comics Collective anthology. I did a short that was in an anthology called Unlawful Good that Heather Antos edited. And I have a couple other projects. Like, I have 3 issues of a comic called Monstrous with an artist that I'm working on with called Ken Lamug, and he's an artist out of Las Vegas, and I'm about to send him hopefully soon the script for the 4th issue. And can I tell you a little bit about Monstrous?
Yeah, go for it. Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
All right, cool. So Monstrous is set in Frankenstein's Europe, and they've kind of turned it into the Wild West, except instead of cowboys versus Indians, it's monsters versus robots. And so you get Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, you get Dracula making an appearance, and, so the good guys are not all that good and the bad guys are not all that bad. Everybody's a little bit monstrous, hence the title.
Nice.
But that's also, like Wild Bullets, that's also self-contained stories. So each issue, you don't need to read anything else. You can read them in any order you want. It's kind of like Sin City in some ways, that the main character is really the setting of this kind of steampunk Bavaria where you've got, rabbit monsters and snake monsters and half human, half robot things and stuff like that. But, it's not all ages, but it's pretty friendly to most kids. I would think that kids could read it, but adults could read it as well and get different stuff out of it.
Nice.
Like this violence is Star Wars level violence. There's no salty language, so to speak.
What?
Yeah.
This interview's over.
Monsters and robots, and they're not swearing? Come on. Jesus.
That's all I asked for. Groin shots and swearing, and you've delivered neither to me tonight. No,
no, kids love groin shots.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Not yet.
Well, groin shots are obviously okay for kids, or America's Funniest Videos wouldn't have been on for like a million years. So,
Right.
This is very true.
Like The Simpsons, right? Man getting hit in the crotch with a football.
Yep. That's a perfect analogy.
I was saying words. I love that episode.
That's a great episode. Yeah.
Those Simpsons.
Those short films are fantastic. Let's see. What was it? So with when you're doing a multi-issue arc here instead of like one shots. Well, you said this Monstrous is still like the one shots, but like the 6-issue series that you have. Is the problem more so like funding, like so you can pay artists and such, or is it more just finding a publisher, or is it both? Or?
Well, it's just such a time commitment, right? To commit to something that's 6 issues, it takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and I don't have a whole lot of either one of those. And most artists I know are kind of the same way, right? Yeah. I do have a multi-issue thing that's coming out. The first issue should come out hopefully later this year with Eric Reichenbach, who he's been on Survivor twice. And I'm not just like name dropping that. It has to do with the project. It's called Last Monster Standing. I know it's another one with monster in the title. But
everyone knows
it's called
Monster.
Last Monster Standing, and the pitch is just like a one-sentence pitch. Giant monsters invade Tokyo, and then they get their own reality show. So you got like your Godzillas and your giant robots and stuff, and they're like, I'm not here to make friends and things like that. They get kicked off the island, and it's it's the island of Japan, and so they go to Exile Island and stuff like that. And
Exiled Monster Island, just a bunch of sad monsters.
Exactly, right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the main character is he's kind of like Gamera. He's like this loser giant turtle guy with a rocket strapped to his back, and he thinks he's cool. And
wait, hold on. By a rocket,
like still an outcast. He's Gamera, and Gamera is kind of a loser.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, you ever seen that underbite?
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. Now I have to ask, the rocket on his back is that? Are you meaning like a rocket as in a propulsion system, or more of a weapon?
Well, I have him using it both ways, but
okay,
it's kind of like a jetpack that's sort of built into his shell in this character design.
Wow, all right. Even better. All right. So I was going to say there's all sorts of fun in there, like, misfirings and stuff. I'm just picturing and he goes to use it, and it just sputters on him. And he's like, oh, just gets it handed to him,
Gets his ass kicked.
Yeah. In the first issue, he wears this helmet, because he's like wants to protect himself, and the other monsters are like, listen, don't you have a shell? Why are you wearing a helmet? He's like, this rocket's dangerous.
Nice. He's like the Ralph Wiggum of the group, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, I bent my Wookiee.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Fantastic. Yeah, I know. I've talked with different writers before, and, like when they're first-timers, and they don't realize how much it actually costs to pay, inkers, artists, and letterers, and unless, I know a lot of in smaller press, you'll see a lot of times the writer or the artist will also be the inker, but still there should be monies paid to people for doing the work, but I know that stops a lot of people from going forward because, I know they're like, well, aren't there artists that'll do it for free? I'm like, yeah, but they're probably not going to be the caliber that you want to work with, I mean, one of the things I was taught real quick in art school is never give away your talent. Like if you're like, oh, you do graphic design, then they want you to do everything for them. And it's like, my time's valuable here. I mean, give me a little something.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think that's one of the things that's really cool about the Michigan Comics Collective is that, we're all sort of coming together on this. And for most people, they're new to it, or they're either first time or sort of small time. And they don't have a whole lot of experience in this, so this is a great way for them to get their foot in the door and then hopefully sort of move on to bigger projects. Because I feel like Wild Bullets, like if you show it to somebody, there's no excuses that go with it. Sometimes like if you have an indie comic, it's kind of like, well, we really wanted it to look this way, and the printer screwed it up or something like that. But this, the whole comic stands very well on its own, and I don't think it needs any apologies or excuses or anything like that.
No, I don't either.
Right.
I've seen a lot of, and I'm not knocking anybody, but I've seen a lot of indie press stuff where, the art kind of takes you out of the element because sometimes it's just not very good. Mm-hmm. And not at all with this book. The guy, the artists that are working with you on this, really did a great job on it. So, that always will help, because it's kind of like anything. It reminds me of a manager Tony and I used to have that always didn't want things to look mom and pop, basically.
Right.
Because when people feel like something's mom and pop, they feel like it's a cheaper quality kind of a thing. So.
Right. Yeah, I definitely have had that experience as well with smaller comics where it's kind of like, oh, this is looking good, and you're flipping through and you're like, oh, but like, okay, here's the tiny hand, or here's the weird looking mouth,
Yeah.
And like you're saying, it pulls you out of it, where it's sort of like, oh, everything is good except like, you get to that page where it's not like it's bad, but it's like, oh, you tried real hard.
Yeah. Right. And if a person, that's the kind of thing, like if that artist was using that book as a portfolio review, they'd be like, well, clearly you need more work on hands, or, they'd probably bust you pretty hard on it, but it's for your own good. But it's, it's just, it's why I forgot, I talked to, God, I can't remember who it was. Oh, and it was Mark Silvestri, actually, is who it was.
Okay.
When I was in Chicago the one time when I was talking with him about, submitting and whatnot, and he was like, the best rule I can ever give you is learn how to draw everything. He's like, don't just draw muscle-bound geeks. He's like, draw everything you can get your hand, just sit and draw whatever. He's like, because in comics, you'll probably be asked to draw it, And I was like, yeah, and then now, you have so much reference with the internet that there's almost no excuse.
Right.
Like, it used to be, I know, what's his name? Joe, was it Jusko? I'm not sure. He was known for doing a lot of, like, Tarzan kind of artwork, like painted stuff. And he posted a picture on his DeviantArt page one time of his reference files. And he just had this wall of file cabinets that are just loaded with reference photos.
Wow.
And I'm like, now, you could just pull it up on your phone.
know? Yeah. Thank you, Google Images.
Yeah. So.
But it's still hard to do a lot of things. Like, I know some artists are like, oh, don't give me anything with a horse in it, or... because there's a lot of, animals or different things. There's some people like, oh, feet are really hard to draw, which is why you see so many comic characters wearing boots and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, Michael Turner actually said that in an interview with Wizard one time. He was known for doing Fathom and drawing these gorgeous women and whatnot, and he was like, I hate drawing feet. And if you look at a lot of his books, you don't see a ton of feet.
Right.
He just avoided it, or like you said, you put them in boots or easier to draw things, They are a pain in the butt to draw, I'll say that.
That's why I draw pirates. Everyone gets a peg leg.
Disgusting. Some people have a foot fetish. I've got like an anti-foot fetish. Like, oh, I don't want to see your foot.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm the same way. I hated it when I was in, art classes and, we're doing anatomy drawing and they're like, draw feet. And I'm like, oh. I got to stare at feet for hours and draw them and
Yeah, I'd actually rather see somebody with socks and sandals on so that I could see a little bit less skin on the feet.
I agree.
And hair and bunions and
hammer toes.
Yeah. Man.
My favorite are feet that looks like they should be like... I like the feet that look like they should be like on a leather glove on some guy in Mongolia. Those are my favorite.
It's like, wait a minute, was one of your wishes to replace your foot with a monkey paw? Like, what?
How many wishes do you get?
It's like babies. You ever notice that about babies' feet? Like how their toes look like fingers, and they can like grab at them. Like I call those monkey toes. Like you see a little baby, and it's like those are cute. You know, if people had baby feet when they were adults, well, first of all, that'd be really little. That'd be weird, but you know, like,
that'd be
if
awesome.
You could grab stuff with feet. That'd be awesome.
It would be really funny to see, though. Yeah.
Keep your spare shoes hanging on your rearview mirror.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's have Greg Wright on the show to talk to us about what he thinks of feet and how adults should have baby feet and gorilla hands and stuff.
That's fine. This is what happens when people come on our show is we bring them on for one topic, but by the end we usually find whatever their dark fetish is, and that's our gift. You know, that's what our strength is. So.
That's our superpower.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear a gorilla suit now.
Sweet. Going around monkey foot and everything.
Exactly.
Look, I can pick it up. You're like, Greg, come on, man. Like, you've been trying to pick up that pen for an hour. Just bend over and pick it up.
No, I got this.
I got this, yeah.
I'm going to change the channel on the remote, guys. Watch this. Watch this. Guys, it's going to be great. Watch this. Watch this. Guys, it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Over to a friend's house, and you're just owning them, playing Mortal Kombat with your feet, you know?
Comes back to Mortal Kombat again.
Like, how is this even? Yeah.
All this victory.
Yeah.
Got owned by the monkey toes,
right?
Bitch.
You're just rolling off combos like they're nothing. You're just like, hey, whatever, I got this. Like, you couldn't pick the pen up, but this.
Yes. I'm impressed he's using the shoulder buttons.
Yeah. Especially the lower triggers.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. That's really impressive.
So, what would your dream gig be in writing comics? What character would you like to write for?
Well, I got a whole bunch of answers to this. You know, I mean, there's like the more cliched stuff. Like I think everybody everywhere has got like a Batman story in them somewhere.
Probably.
Or another,
Right.
You know, but I'm gonna do a little bit of a twist that is kind of connected to Wild Bullets. I think it would be really hard to do well, but I'd like to write a Fantastic Four story. Because Wild Bullets, in many ways, is kind of like the Fantastic Four. It's sort of like a team book where everybody's got their clashing personalities, and in some ways, like, you know, it's the characters are kind of modeled on them. Like, the detective is sort of like the Thing. You know, the mad scientist is a bit like Mr. Fantastic. And, you know, although we have the other two are both female, I feel like Kelly Bullitt, the archaeologist, is kind of like the Invisible Woman, and no, I'm sorry, I flipped that around. Minerva's kind of like the Invisible Woman, and Kelly is a bit like, you know, Johnny Storm. She's got this sort of young, brash, fiery personality kind of a thing.
Sure.
So I'd really like to write that, but it's hard because what haven't the Fantastic Four done, you know? It's
right.
kind of like they don't really have a story that's yet to be told, despite a movie coming out this summer.
They could open up a potato salad store.
Boom.
Exactly.
Reed Richards starts monkey toeing everything because he could do it really well with them stretchy toes.
It's
You
true.
know?
It's all coming together.
Yeah. Old Monkey Toe Richards.
I love it when a plan comes together involving monkey toes.
Right.
So that would be the thing to do with the Fantastic Four. Just get something like really mundane. Just be like, they file their taxes this issue.
Right, yeah. The Fantastic Four go on a picnic.
Yeah. Beach vacation, but nothing weird happens.
Yeah.
Hey, isn't that... Oh, no.
No.
I guess, yeah. Okay, never mind.
Oh.
Have a sandwich.
Things run around in his banana hammock yelling it's clobbering time as he's running. You know, it's just... Oh. He's just embarrassing everybody. It's...
Laying on the beach, everyone just thinks he's a sandcastle.
That's not what time it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. It's a really innocent, like every day in the life of anybody Fantastic Four story.
Right.
Well, they kind of, I mean, Matt Fraction kind of did that with Hawkeye, you know, where he's sort of like, here's what Hawkeye's doing on his days off, you know?
Yep. I was going to mention that because when he did that, I was like, I've thought about that years ago, that would be kind of a cool story. Like, you know, Marvel's hit on that to, you know, the whole, like, what's it like as a human seeing all the superheroes around you, and that was a cool kind of twist on, the way comics are generally delivered to us. And, and like you said, Fraction, when he did Hawk Guy, as he calls him, his kid calls him Hawk Guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
When he did it, you're right. It made him just feel like a guy. It didn't make him feel like a superhero as much, but it was still a really cool way to deliver a character. I like books that kind of flip that.
That's kind of what the 6-issue miniseries that I wrote before was called. And like I said, it might be going forward. I don't, we're still, it's always in the planning stage.
Right.
It's called Henchman, and he's just like a low-level, freelancer who works for supervillains, and he's just a regular everyday guy trying to pay the bills and has his own family, and he's kept it secret from them, so it's like his own secret identity. But that gets exploded like on a Saturday morning when a team of assassins comes to kill them. So then he's got to earn their trust back, and he's got to dodge the cops, he's got to dodge the superheroes, he's got to dodge the supervillains, and figure out who put the bounty on his head. And
nice.
It's a lot of that same kind of stuff of like, what would it be like to be just like the guy who's like guarding the warehouse, or
has
to wear the costume because it's one of those supervillains,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's part of the charm of Nick Spencer as a writer. That's done like Superior Foes of Spider-Man and stuff.
Yes.
Also is he humanized characters that normally you just dismiss, basically. So I like I said, I love how people are doing that, because it's got to be tough as any sort of a comic writer to, like, you almost using your Fantastic Four analogy as an analogy, that what hasn't been done. There's been so many ways of delivering characters to people. So that'll be cool.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah, I love the Superior Foes of Spider-Man. It's very much in that kind of vein, although I wrote it before that started.
Yeah.
But it's I love that tone of things.
Yeah.
Or like the Venture Brothers. It's kind of like that sort of a thing.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, because, like, we get, like, the Monarch on that show. He's, supposed to be a supervillain, but you see him doing the most mundane things around the house, and, as well. You get, or Dr. Venture just being oblivious to things as they happen around him. It's, rather than always being, at the ready and, striking like Brock is, or most comic characters are. Whatever happens to them, they're like, we're ready for this. And it's like, I don't know. Like, no one ever gets caught, like, on the can or something, It's like, oh, geez,
Gets up too quick, pulls a muscle.
Right. Oh, my back. Yeah. Batman texting Gordon, I'll be there in a minute, like, busy. Yeah.
I blame the Thai food, okay?
Yeah.
That's my one weakness, right? One of my favorite episodes is the one where they have like a garage sale, and it's like, that's just brilliant, to have.
That's such a great
superheroes
episode.
Or supervillains have a garage sale, and what do they got for sale?
Do you know, it's funny, like, when that happened, it reminded me of years ago, Wizard did a thing that was like a fold-out type thing that was Dr. Doom's garage sale. And it was like a, they had a bunch of items for you to look through the drawing and find, basically. But it cracked me up, because it's just taking a character and totally, I don't know what for, just stripping them of any power that they have.
Churning them under head.
Right.
Behind his rusted mask.
Exactly. We actually, on our last episode of our show, talked about a Dr. Doom reality TV show. And I said his memoirs, because we talked about him being like a sad, isolated character. And I named his autobiography Behind This Rusted Mask. That the inside of the mask is rusted from his tears and such. So, we...
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun 15 minutes.
Oh, jeez. So, yeah.
It's a good thing it was at the end of the show. It could have been 2 hours.
Yeah, it's true.
I see. If he had a reality show, I'd want to see it called like Flavor of Latveria or something like that.
Well, we titled it "Doom So Crazy," and it's it's just him going through normal stuff and just being inept at most things. Even though he's almost like a candidate for Sorcerer Supreme level magician. And he's a genius and all this, but when it comes to anything else, he's just awful.
Yeah.
Like but if Marvel did something like that, then if people didn't like it, they could just write it off and be like, oh, that was just a malfunctioning Doombot. Because how often And it's like, oh, we got the Dr. Doom. We finally got the real Dr. Doom. Nope, just another Doombot.
Right.
Another damn Doombot.
Yeah. Every Doombot should have somewhere in it a thing that's just like, haha, fooled you or something. It's like, stupid Doom.
Or go out on its own career, right? You know, I'm going to get my own reality show. I'm putting out a rap album this Christmas,
oh,
you know.
Man.
Like
the little Doombot that could would be fantastic.
Yes,
it's like he's the first one that goes off and actually does something other than just be Doom's henchman. Oh,
it's like Short Circuit.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like half Ultron, half Doombot. You know, because he's got a little, you know, his brain kind of his intelligence fires. You know. Oh man.
I'm working at the food court. I'm taking some night classes. I'm going to better myself.
I'm in, man. If Marvel put out a solicitation tomorrow for that, I'd be like, yes, give me all the number ones. I actually think there's room for that kind of stuff
nonsense?
in the universe to have fun. And, well, yeah, no, that's why like the What If books used to be a lot of fun because sometimes they'd be silly, and you know, and I liked some of them that were just ridiculous, you know, and. You know, it's like I read this week. I read Daredevil's Secret Wars, and it's just him looking at like him putting himself into the Secret Wars, even though he wasn't part of it originally, and you know, reacting and such. Basically, MST3K'ing it from the inside. You know,
right.
And it's like that's my favorite thing with Deadpool is when they do that, when they throw him into stuff and he's constantly breaking the wall. You know, so yeah. But again, a lot of writers are doing that. You know, they're writing funnier, kind of more lighthearted, you know, Howard the Duck books and Superior Foes and all that kind of stuff to where they have some heavy stuff in them, but they're not like constant, like, oh, the world's ending and whatever. It's just some silly characters being silly.
And I think it's hard to hit that balance of not taking yourself seriously, but then still having like a story that matters. Because sometimes like the What If ones kind of feel like, well, what's at stake here? We know it's going to wrap up, and that you know, there's no long-term effects or whatever, and so that's why 3 of the Doombots have to die, Joss Whedon style.
I can't disagree.
Gravitas, right?
Yeah, I absolutely. Yeah, there's got to be something in.
He was 1 day away from retirement.
Like there's like 40 Doombots around him, and they're all just mourning this one. It's like
that was just Doom looking at his pension sheet, like,
yeah,
we're not having this.
Yeah,
number 452's got to go.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, besides Wild Bolts, of course, if you're going to give someone a graphic novel for like a gift, what would you give them?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a good one. I think it would probably depend on the person. Like, if it was like, okay, here's, I want to look smart to you, I'll give them Watchmen, and,
right.
Which I love and is great, but it's one of those things where it's like, if somebody hasn't like gotten into graphic novels, that's kind of like, here, read my thesis. It feels kind of like
right.
It really is. Yeah.
But if I were just saying, like, just for fun, I would give somebody probably, like, I really like the Showcase Presents of Elongated Man, because not a lot of people know about Elongated Man, but it's this really goofy, off-the-wall, Silver Age story that's kind of like, he's a detective. He's sort of like Plastic Man, but he's not quite. He's a little bit more serious than that. He's got a girlfriend and later a wife, and they solve stuff. So they're kind of like Nick and Nora, but of the superhero set. And everybody knows who he is. He wears no mask, and he just gets into these sort of kooky, weird mysteries that used to appear in the back of the old Detective Comics issues. And like nobody knows about this guy, but they're just pure fun to me.
No, I think
I really like goofy, off the wall fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only way people recently would know who he is from what was that? Was it Identity Crisis or whatever that DC
52.
did?
He was. Oh yeah. He was.
Yeah.
The Metzler one. Yeah, Identity Crisis.
Yeah, because that kind of put him and his husk of a wife right at the forefront. I mean, spoilers. But it's the first. It kicks off the first issue anyway. But yeah, that was like the first time I knew of him for the same reason because my brothers had Batman comics or whatever that I remember the character, but I wasn't real familiar with him. And, you know, then seeing that, and I was like, well, it's cool they're bringing a character back and kind of making him, you know, a main point in this storyline, at least a little bit, you know, because a lot of characters just get thrown away after a while, especially the goofier characters. You know?
Right.
And I don't know.
Yeah, I also like I said, I like Plastic Man, I like Metamorpho, you know, these guys who are just sort of, you know, pushing the idea of the superhero so far that it's just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm a big Batman fan. You know, Superman, Spider-Man, Captain America. I mean, I like all those guys. But if I'm going to give something to somebody, I want to kind of try to push the envelope a little bit. And here's something that you didn't know about before.
Right.
Also, I mean, you know, it sounds vaguely dirty, right? I gave you an elongated man here.
I hope you like it.
Yeah. I gave you the omnibus, if you know what I mean.
Baby.
Yeah.
Elongated Man, Volume 6.
Elongated Man, Volumes 10 to 12. Wink, wink.
Story stretches out farther.
Right, yeah. That's way naughtier than this show is. We should stop that.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. Yeah. I remember somebody asked me one time, like, if I were to recommend, they're like, if you recommended one story to somebody, what would it be? And I'm like, well, who is the person? Like you said, you know, you kind of need to know the audience a little bit.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, just a book you really love. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to recommend Sin City to everyone, you know, because there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to want anything to do with that book, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
I
a
hand
great
it to
point.
all the preschoolers, right?
Yeah, sure. First day of school, you're like, wham. Yeah. Oh.
You'll definitely learn
Get
something
into
from
comics,
this kid.
kids, with the hard goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that Yellow Bastard's perfect early reading, right? No?
that is so good, though. I love that Yellow Bastard.
Yeah.
I have one of the issues of Monstrous is vaguely based on that and half based on the John Wayne movie Big Jake.
Okay.
So, yeah, the one I was telling you about, the Monstrous, all the plots are taken like from John Wayne movies. So one's like True Grit, and one's like Three Godfathers, and one's like Rio Lobo, all that kind of stuff.
So you're not a John Wayne fan, then?
I'm not a John Wayne fan.
Yeah, no. I'm kidding. Yeah.
I like John Wayne. See,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. People, he's got a bad rap, but I mean, his movies are pretty entertaining. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that I would agree with how the man himself, you know, votes or whatever.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you know, I mean, many of his movies are really great. Like, I'm actually teaching a class right now, and they're, well, you know, hopefully going to get into Stagecoach, right? And that was sort of his breakout role, and I feel like that holds up pretty well today. But then, you know, what do I know?
I only have one issue of John Wayne, was when he was Genghis Khan. Because really?
Oh, yeah.
That's how it was done. Yeah.
Well, and honestly, I wasn't crazy about him playing like an Irish guy in The Quiet Man, but then that fist fight made up for it, you know?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't remember. Did he actually try to do an accent for that or no? I
No,
can't
he
remember.
was just John Wayne.
He was just like he's gone away to America, and and now he has this American accent.
Well,
and,
naturally.
and then he comes back and has like a 20-minute fight across town, just him and the other guy just punching each other, and never bleeding or anything, just having like comic reactions.
Yeah. I know that was the best part about fist fights in a lot of movies, was there was never any damage, no hand damage, no face damage. And I'm like,
Now, which is a greater fist fight, though? Is it that, or is it They Live with Rowdy Piper and?
Oh man, see,
'cause that's a pretty excellent fist fight.
And both of them.
fist fight.
Well, it gets into like they got a 2x4 and stuff, and it's also just like the world's stupidest fight too. Like, put on these glasses. I don't want to put on these glasses.
Yeah.
Why do they fight over that?
Yeah.
Just put the damn glasses on.
Right?
And Keith David's just like, no, I'm not going to put these glasses on. Well, I'm gonna beat it into you, you know.
I'm going to beat you so hard you're going to wear them.
Little known fact, that whole scene wasn't in the script. That was an actual fight. You know. No.
I don't want to touch that prop.
Yeah.
I've seen where you put it.
Yeah. Ooh.
No, but it actually wasn't in the script. They were just like, let's go for it. Let's put in a fight because, you know, you got Roddy Piper and you got Keith David and hey, we got this alley set. All right, let's just have them wail on each other for a while. And oh, that's so much fun.
It is.
I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm fresh out of bubblegum. I'm going to screw up the line.
One of them.
I love They Live.
Oh, man. And how many times have you heard that line reused since that movie, you know?
Oh,
at
yeah.
the beginning of every one of our episodes.
Well, that too. Yep. Tony put random snippets.
Cool concept that, like, you have these glasses on and then you can see these aliens and they really rule the whole world and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's one of my favorites. Although I haven't watched it in a while, so I don't know if it holds up. I'll be honest.
Well,
I feel like I've watched it every couple of years, and I feel like it holds up. But again, like I said, what do I know? I'm also, you know, I'm also talking about John Wayne movies and stuff like that. So
well, we established right away that you're hip. Yeah,
I like the stuff that's kind of like the outdated stuff, which is why, you know, Wild Bullets is all these different pulp genres because it's kind of like, you know, people see it and they're like, oh, this is like Indiana Jones or stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, that's true. Or like, this is like Sin City. It's like, yeah, but that's also like these really old, you know, stories and comics and stuff like that too.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how a lot of like the superheroes really are like an evolution from like a pulp character into a comic character, you know. So, you know, because back in the day you had like Doc Savage and stuff like that, you know, which I didn't know much of Doc Savage until I was taking an art history class, actually. And we started learning about, I can't think of his name now. Was it Bama, I think's his last name? That did a lot of the covers for Doc Savage. And I was just like, these covers.
I can picture it in my head, but I don't know the artist's name.
And I just was like, man, I just love this artwork because it feels so comic book like, you know. And it's like, well, it makes sense because, you know, those things were starting to get popular around the same time. So it's, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and then there's some like crossover stuff too, like with the Spider and the Shadow and figures like that were sort of like in the magazines, but also in books and also in comics and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, I know. People should check some of that out.
Movie serials. Sorry.
Were those talkies? I don't remember. No.
The talkies.
Yeah.
It all went downhill once they let them start talking. I'll tell you, boys.
I prefer fast motion.
Yeah. Well, you know, it had to kill some careers. There had to be some people with some awful voices that no longer were working after talkies, you know. So, because I forgot, what was it? I can't remember. Was it Family Guy or there was one of them that was like, I think it was Family Guy. It was like, yeah, our great uncle or great grandpa or whatever was, you know, in movies, but once talkies came about, he lost his job because he had a really really high voice or something to that effect. And I was like, yeah, that makes total sense because I could see that happening.
Yeah, that'll do it.
You know, like you're a big action kind of guy or whatever, and then all of a sudden you have to talk and you sound like Mike Tyson, and people are like, maybe not.
Right. Or they had to learn lines and everything, you know, like in Singing in the Rain, where you know, he comes on and he's like, well, you got to learn this line. He says, no, what I always just say during the love scenes is I just say, I love you, 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 and then they just write something different on the screen.
Yeah,
you know, because
it's
a different kind of acting, right?
Yeah. That's what we do for the podcast, actually. It's totally scripted, and we just have other people read parts later on to make us seem really smart. It's
perfect.
Kind of like, did you ever see Space Ghost Coast to Coast? That's kind of how our... Yeah, that... No.
Oh, I missed that show.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I miss how, you know, they would just have, like, these awkward pauses and, like, so much dead air. I mean, you can't do that on a show. I just don't feel like you couldn't get away with it today.
Oh, I agree. We love it. Like on our show, once in a while, one of us will say something, and then we leave that awkward silence. And there's a lot of podcasts.
Just let it hang.
Yeah, there's a lot of podcasts that trim that stuff out, and then we're like, nah, right here's where the funny is. You know, we're gonna.
If someone lays a hot one, you gotta address it.
Yeah. You can't just ignore it and move on. You gotta just look at that thing and be like, okay, dude, like,
yeah.
No. Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of that show. I think that's probably where I got my love of like dead air was that show. Was
strategic
like,
dead air.
Yeah, you know, one of them like Brack would say something, or not Brack, Zorak or whatever would say something. Yeah, and Space Ghost would just look over at him, and they just look. It's just back and forth. Nothing for like a minute, you know, and you're like...
And then like Zorak would blink and you'd hear that weird sound.
Yeah, yep.
Eyes blink.
Right, and then Space Ghost would move on after a good, you know, like I said, 30 seconds or a minute or whatever the pause was, and I'm like, oh, that's so good. And I know that was why a lot of people hated the show, though, was they were like, yeah, they just don't do... And I'm like, oh, it's
like
brilliant.
You're not reading in between the lines. Enjoy the dead space.
It's like there's no joke there. I'm like, the blinking is the joke.
or as like Space Ghost will shift awkwardly in his seat.
Yeah.
It's like just have a different pose.
Yep.
And like as though he's about to say something and then he doesn't.
Doesn't. Yep, exactly. It's like
It has to be cheap to animate that. And here we are like this was this brilliant thing, and they're like, listen, we're just gonna pad this out with some awkward silence.
Yeah. Oh man, seriously. That's why I remember on one of the like Simpsons, the commentary on one of the DVD sets talked about how you can always tell if they were having trouble writing a longer episode because the theme song and the entrance thing would be longer. Like it would be like full length, whereas over time they had, you know, trimmed snippets out of it to cut another minute here or there. And they're like, yeah, you can tell if we were lazy or just couldn't get a longer script in because it'll be a really long intro.
Yeah, like, anytime you see the kick line, you're like, okay, they had a short episode.
Yep, exactly. Like, all right. It's like I love you know those little things, people peeling curtains back for me and whatnot. But
there's nothing like, you know, breaking the wall, peeking in and whatnot.
Sounds kind of voyeuristic. I mean,
oh, you know,
I think it sounds a lot creepier. You don't have to.
Well, no,
you know, hiding in the bushes.
Yeah, it only sounds creepy when you drop your voice.
I mean, like hiding in the bushes.
Yeah, see, before it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. When he drops the voice, now it's like, dude, is he really outside? I don't.
Yeah,
maybe.
I ordered you a pizza.
It's just a good bit for a show, right? Like, you know, you just read things in a lower voice, but it's just like that. Like, I ordered a pizza, baby. And that's it. And you're just like, all right. That's, you know.
Anything, right? You go up to, like, Taco Bell, and you're like, I'll have the number 7.
With a Mountain Dew. Baja Blast. Wink. Like, sir, we can't see you wink at the... Yeah.
The audio wink, right?
Right. It's like you're a pickup artist, but all your pickup lines are just normal lines. Like you say the wrong line in the deep voice, you know.
Have you tried the Baja Blast?
Yeah.
That sounds so dirty.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. It sounds like like you're asking somebody like some exotic sex move or something, you know.
Like, let me look that up on Urban Dictionary.
Right?
Hold on.
Yeah. You don't want the Baja Blast.
No, probably not. No, that seems like a terrible idea. I don't even know what it is, but it sounds awful.
You wake up in a Mexican hotel. You're like, I've been Baja blasted again.
Yeah. Oh,
like crap. Great,
I got to pay for new sheets again.
Yeah. And eyebrows.
And eyebrows. Whoa.
I don't know.
Wait. First of all, how do you pay for new eyebrows? Are you just buying false ones, or
just get a pencil?
Okay, you just scribble them on real quick.
Yes.
Yeah. Makes
just
sense.
Get some fake mustaches and put them up top.
Ooh, smart. That's a much.
I'm trying to bring the intelligence here.
Yeah.
With the fake eyebrow plan.
Yeah.
Ocean's 14. What are we going to do about these eyebrows?
Yeah.
Fake mustaches. Brilliant.
Case closed.
Why didn't I think of that?
The movie's 10 minutes long. Like, so what's the plan, boss?
And then it's just Space Ghost blinking.
Yeah. For 4 hours. Like every one of the cast, like all of them. I can't think of... it was just him and Zorak in the studio. And then off...
And then there's Voltar.
Yeah, but he was like in a separate area. They saw him on like a monitor.
Booth or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, and then Brack was just an occasional guest.
I always loved seeing Brack. I was always like, oh, great, here's Brack. He's like, hi, my name is Brack.
I loved Brack. I loved the Brack show, too. I enjoyed watching that. That was,
I'm going to have to find, is it any Space Ghost Coast to Coast on YouTube? Because I'm just going to have to marathon this now.
I know. I don't know. It's one of those shows that never seems to show up on, like, YouTube or not YouTube. I mean, like Netflix or something. You know, Netflix has got a bunch of, like, Adult Swim shows, but I don't think Space Ghost is one of them.
That makes me very sad.
Even though everybody wants to be Space Ghost. According to the CD.
It's true.
And the guests, it's always like the guests are like, you know, what level, what do we do with this, you know? They're always kind of stupefied and like, what's the bit exactly here, folks?
Well, it's what I love is it's like, you know, a lot of people didn't seem to realize that, like, Space Ghost wasn't actually interviewing them. Like, they had someone else interview them, and then they cut that in, and then they write the dialogue for Space Ghost, you know, for hilarity's sake. And I knew people that were like, I don't get it. It's just such a bad interview, and I'm like, you're totally missing the show, man. Like
why are you so dumb?
Yeah, you totally not get it. Just no.
Well,
I mean, his name is Space Ghost, and that alone makes sense.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
It looks like you can watch some of the episodes on AdultSwim.com, but you got to log in your cable provider. Boo.
Yeah.
Right.
I always wondered about that because it's like, you know, like I knew Beavis and Butthead wasn't on a lot of stuff for a while because of the music stuff throughout the episodes.
Yeah. Right.
You know? But Space Ghost didn't really have like anything like that. I mean, unless maybe they didn't have the rights for the guests or something.
It looks like there's a decent amount of them on YouTube.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing later.
Yeah, really. Oh, there's the one of Slash, and he calls him Citizen Longhair.
That was my favorite part, was just how insulting he was to the guests a lot of the time. Just
right. Or again, just like how he would kill time. Like, here's my recipe for cheese with onions.
Yeah.
And like, it's just cheese and onions, but like somehow he drags it out into this, and he's like, then you get a simmering pot, and like it's this whole big elaborate thing.
I loved how they left in a lot of times at the end of the interview with like the guest, where the guest like, so are we done here or what? Like they're waiting for like an ending, and they just kept it rolling, you know, and they just leave it on there, and instead of cutting that out for the TV show, they leave that in, so you know it's another level of uncomfortable,
extra awkward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like, I love how that show did awkward comedy, and I know, like, on Family Guy, they're like, yeah, we do this and this sometimes to see how awkward, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't like the way they do a lot of theirs, you know, like, where they repeat something like 90 times, and the point is to see how uncomfortable they can make, basically, and I'm like, yeah, but it's funny if you do it a few times. It's just annoying after that. I don't understand, you know. Like, if they seriously did the dead silence and the blinking thing on Space Ghost for, like, 15 minutes, it wouldn't be funny. It would just be like, why am I watching this? Nothing is actually happening, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I've heard it called the rake effect after the Sideshow Bob gag on The Simpsons.
Yes.
That, you know, one time it's kind of funny. 3 times it starts being less funny, and then... You know, you're like, oh, this is awkward and weird, but then about like 7 or 8, and it's like, this is brilliant, you know.
Yeah, yep.
And you start laughing again.
Right, and then
on the rake.
And then a few minutes later, I think in that episode, he steps on one just out of the blue, and it hits him, and he's like, you know. That was, I love Kelsey Grammer doing that like that after every one of them when they hit him in the face, you know. So. Well, I guess we should probably...
Like, why do you keep stepping on the same rake again?
Yeah, you'd think you would look around after stepping on more than one. Like, one, it's like, oh, there's arbitrarily a rake here. When I step on 2, I'm like, why are there more than one... You know, why is there multiple rakes? When I hit 3, it's like, why am I not looking down? Because clearly there's
it's just silly.
Yeah, there's just... I'm stepping through Rake City, apparently, you know?
But at that point, you've been hit on the head with a rake, so maybe you're not thinking clear.
Yeah, slightly concussed.
Which is always hilarious, you know.
It's true.
Yeah. Nothing says hilarious like brain damage.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Wait. All right. Well, we should probably wrap up here because we've kept you over an hour and such, but had a good time talking with you. You want to tell everybody like where they should stalk you at?
Yeah, exactly. So you can find me on Twitter at my name is still Greg Wright, but the handle is at Greg Henchman, which was after that Henchman project. That's
right.
When I got onto Twitter.
Now it all makes sense. I was wondering about that.
They can check out the website at wildbullets.blogspot.com or at the MichiganComicsCollective.org. So those are the ways to get in touch with me, and also they can pick up a digital copy of Wild Bullets at Drive-Thru Comics, accessible through either of those other websites. Or if you are in Michigan, you can pick it up at a lot of the comic book shops in Michigan, particularly in the Tri-Cities. Let me just give a little shout-out to Collector's Corner here in Midland, which stocks it, as well as Cashman Comics in Bay City, and Coy's Comics in Saginaw, which is owned by our very own Steve Shar, and he's selling it to everybody, whether they want it or not, when they get up to the register.
Perfect. That's good salesmanship. He just tucks a copy in with their subscription stack, and they don't even realize it.
They're like, what's this $5 here? That's just a surcharge. Just never mind.
Yeah,
ignore it.
Yeah.
Just give me your Lincoln.
Yeah. Just give me your money and hush your face. Yeah. Or better yet, he just looks at him Space Ghost style.
He could pull that off, just staring and blinking.
Yeah, he certainly could. Yeah.
Even better if he's wearing a Space Ghost suit.
Also true. Which he should always be doing while at the comic shop.
Yeah. But I'll put we'll put links up on our website for everything for you too.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
So go there and stuff.
Well, thank you both so much. I'm really I was really excited to be on here, and I'm really glad that you gave me the chance, and it was a lot of fun talking with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And anytime you got your next book out or whatever, give us a shout. We'll have you back. It was fun.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Waiting for it's the awkward Space Ghost pause.
Enthusiast this.